Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Red Dragon. That's right, this is a donation reward for Venom0027, and a little darker, a little more intense and serious than other donation rewards we've done lately. Because this is a prequel film, though it came out after the fact. A prequel film to Silence of the Lambs. Going further into Hannibal Lecter. And that's about what I know about this movie. I know that there is a sequel as well. And I have seen that one and didn't really like it that much, to be fair. And I know as well that this is not the first adaptation of this story. Apparently, this story that this movie's based off of, because the Silence of the Lambs stories are books and everything, apparently it was adapted in the 80s as well as a movie called Manhunter, so well before even Silence of the Lambs came out. So Silence of the Lambs wasn't the first Hannibal Lecter story, funny enough. But the old movie didn't star Anthony Hopkins, and so it never made a lot of impact. And obviously that's not the only reason, but Anthony Hopkins definitely sold this character better than anyone else ever could. So I don't know anything about the actual plot of this movie. I don't know like any other actors or characters in it. All I know is it's a prequel to Silence of the Lambs. That the story it's based off of was adapted into a movie before, and that I guess it's supposed to focus on Hannibal a little more. I don't know. So since I don't know anything more to say about this, let's talk about my thoughts on Silence of the Lambs, because I don't think I've ever talked about that on the channel before. Because I watched that on my own time, obviously. So Silence of the Lambs was a good movie, but I do have some issues with it. A lot of people like kind of hail it as like this masterpiece, and it's like, eh. I think a lot of people overrate a lot of movies. And usually when they're like really highly rated like that, they can be good, but like The Godfather had a lot more issues than people are willing to acknowledge. Blues Brothers wasn't perfect, and Silence of the Lambs definitely was not perfect either. And all three of those movies are good. I like all three of those movies. But you have to learn to acknowledge that no movie's going to be perfect, and that movies will have issues, even movies you do like. Silence of the Lambs, my biggest issue was it Jodie Foster? Whoever played Clarice. She was boring. Like, she had no personality in the role. And it's not even the actress's fault, because she's done other good stuff, but I just don't think she really sold the character that well. Anthony Hopkins obviously made the movie. Like, he was perfection in that. I have no issue with anything from his performance. And Ted Levine as Buffalo Bill was fantastic as well. And it's funny, too, because I saw Silence of the Lambs after I had seen the TV series Monk, in which Ted Levine is Captain Stottlemyre of the police that works with Monk. And it's really fucking funny to see like how different those two roles are, because that's who I knew Ted Levine as first. And then I ended up seeing Silence of the Lambs, and it's like, that's Ted Levine. And I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with that. There's also the entire thing about that people have with whether or not Buffalo Bill's character is like an insult to trans people. I never saw it that way. I never really saw it quite that way, but um, in the end, he was also a bad guy. Keep that in mind. He was a serial killer. He was a psychopath. He was very much evil. So it's not like you should be like seeing anything he does or says as good, to be honest. Um, though the same could be said about Hannibal, of course. And I don't remember any other characters from that much. I know there were other characters that were notable. Like I think there was a police chief that Clarice was working with, but I don't remember anyone else off the top of my head. It was really those three that stood out. Um, but the acting outside of again, I think it was Jodie Foster. I might be completely wrong on that, but let me check real quick. Um, but most of the acting, except for Clarice, was really good. The shot, cinematography, and direction was great. Um, it was a little. There were a couple moments that were a little boring, but for the most part, I was really interested almost the entire time. So not really any big issues in that regards. Let me see here. Come on. Okay, come on. Yeah, it was Jodie Foster. Because what everything I was seeing was Julianne Moore, and it's like no, she was in the sequel. She played Clarice in Hannibal, which again I wasn't a huge fan of the Hannibal movie. Um, I don't even remember a lot from it because I only saw it once and I wasn't. It didn't stick with me. But yeah, it was Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs. Um, but yeah, I mean, like Jodie Foster's a good actress. It's just that one movie I just don't feel like she stuck it with. And a lot of people I know disagree with me on that, but I just found her performance very boring, very wooden. But either way, so this was this was a pretty interesting movie, and I'm interested to see this prequel because how is this going to work? Are we going to see like how Hannibal ended up in the cell that he eventually took Clarice in? Are we going to see like stuff from his past? And I know there's a Hannibal series with I believe it was Mads Mikkelsen in it. I never saw any of that. It just I don't know. I just wasn't that interested. Although Mads Mikkelsen is a great actor. Um, I just I don't know. I just never really found the appeal to seeing that or anything like that. There was another one for Psycho, Bates Motel. I was never interested in that one either. And it's like I don't really think we need these villain origins shows. It's just like just we don't need them. Like a prequel movie, that's fine, that's one thing, but an entire origin series, it's like that's gonna be like what 5, 6 seasons or something. It's like that's just not needed. That's just too much. um, but but that may just be me. So yeah, I'm definitely interested to see who else is in this. I'm definitely interested to see what else this is about. Will we have like even any kind of hint of Clarice in this? Probably not, but maybe there could be something. I don't even remember too much about Clarice's character from the first one. Yeah, she just didn't stick in my mind that much. But either way, let's just get this going. Once again, this is a donation reward for Venom0027, so thank you, Venom, for donating for this. And let's hope this is good. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, one, I'm glad that he survived in the end. I'm glad Graham survived in the end. And two, I looked up just the general consensus reviews on this. Apparently, this got, like, I think it was 68% on Rotten Tomatoes, but you never look at Rotten Tomatoes for any semblance of a sane response to any movie. But apparently, I have here that, where was it? Crap, I got it. Hold on. Apparently, there's this review from Time magazine saying this darkly seductive, flawlessly acted piece is worlds removed from most horror films. Here, monsters have their grandeur, heroes their gravity, and when they collide, a dance of death ensues between two souls doomed to understand each other. Now, I will say the wording of that is obviously very pompous. But I kind of agree with this. And I also find here, just funny enough, both Edward Norton and Ralph Fiennes both apparently admired Silence of the Lambs, but did not enjoy Hannibal. And it's funny because I'm exactly the same. I liked Silence of the Lambs, but not Hannibal. And now going into this, I actually think that this is a valid, like, competitor, I guess you could say, for the best movie in this franchise. Like, it is right up there in terms of quality with Silence of the Lambs for me. In terms of the acting, the story, the plot, and I think that really the difference in it and which one you think is better, for me at least, is it comes down to the villain, not Hannibal, because he's not technically the villain of these movies. He's a bad guy for sure, but he's not technically the main villain. The main villain of Silence of the Lambs was Buffalo Bill, and the main villain of this was Dollarhide. So it comes down to which one you like more. And for me, I'm very mixed on that, and that's why I'm saying that it's competition for which one I like more, but I'm not confident enough to say, honestly. Because Ted Levine as Buffalo Bill was he did a fantastic job. He really sold the role well. And while I wasn't offended by his portrayal of the character and everything and how that was written, I will admit there were a lot of trans people who were. There are a lot of trans people who were extremely offended by that and really find it to be harmful. And that's perfectly valid. On the other hand, we have Dollarhide, who I also thought was extremely well acted by Ralph Fiennes, but I could also see how some could maybe view the portrayal of mental health and of an abuse victim turning to this kind of evil as negative in a way. And the thing is, I can see both arguments for both of these villains because, well, with Buffalo Bill, with the entire discourse on the portrayal of someone who could be seen as trans or trans adjacent, like I am trans. So it's like I can understand why people were upset by that, why people were offended by that. And in terms of Dollarhide, I have mental illnesses. And I'm very much a proponent against the idea that mental illnesses make a person automatically negative in any way, or that a person who has mental illnesses is automatically on the path towards negativity or just being a straight up bad person. there are a lot of people who, unfortunately, throughout history have believed that kind of shit. And so I could see why that could be possibly um, just criticized as well. I don't know if that was, though. I mean, Dowerhide also had a lot of other stuff going on with him, like not just his clear mental illnesses, but the physical issues he had, on top of just the insane levels of abuse he suffered from his grandmother when he was young. He was he was a victim in a lot of ways, but he was still, as I made sure to emphasize in during the reaction, he was still responsible for his own actions, and he was still a bad person because of those actions. He was still a murderer. He was still a bad guy, and he needed to be taken down, unquestionably. Like his past, the fact that he was a victim, the fact that he has mental illnesses, does not excuse that. In the end, I would say that both villains deliver something really interesting to their movies, to their respective movies. Buffalo Bill, with Ted Levine's performance, Ted Levine gives a very, like, almost fun, energetic performance to him. He tries to make him entertaining, while Ray Fiennes tries to make Dollarhide seem unstable, and kind of on the verge of just basically snapping at any point. Um, and so they're two very different villains. If I had to say which one I preferred, if I have to say, I would honestly say Dollarhide, and that might be an unpopular opinion, but I think he was more interesting to me. Um, and again, and that's nothing against Ted Levine's performance as Buffalo Bill, but it didn't grasp me as much. And I would say that, thinking about it, I think I like this movie a little more than Silence of the Lambs, just a little more. And part of that is because Edward Norton compared to Jodie Foster. Like, here's the thing. This movie was very much similar to Silence of the Lambs. In fact, some of the, like, little things I saw said that it almost seems like a bit of a rehash in a way. Like, this agent has to work with Hannibal Lecter to take down this other villain and everything. It's like, it's the same kind of setup. But I think they did it very differently here. Yes, the setup is pretty much the same, but the actual execution of it is different. Especially, like, with everything you find out and all the ways Lecter has his hands in everything during this film comparative to Silence of the Lambs. Um, but going on to what I was saying with the kind of lead character, like I said in the pre-thoughts, Jodie Foster as Clarice just didn't do it for me. I felt her performance was boring and wooden. I just don't think she really serviced the film that well. I just don't feel like she was really that great in that role. And again, she's a great actress, for sure. She's done other great roles, but I I think she was the weakest part of Silence of the Lambs for me. And that's just a personal opinion. If you liked her in Silence of the Lambs, that's perfectly fine. But for me personally, I could not get attached to her character. On the other hand, Edward Norton's Graham in this movie was, outside of maybe Hannibal Lecter, my favorite character in this movie. I was exceedingly attached to him. I cared about what happened to him. At the end there, I was scared that I thought he had died for a second there before it showed that he did survive. I was legitimately growing attached to him as a character, and I think it's because of the performance. Edward Norton just gave a fantastic performance in this film, as did all of the actors. Harvey Keitel was great. Philip Seymour Hoffman was great. Emily Watson was fantastic. Everyone did a fantastic job. Ray Fiennes, of course. I already mentioned him, but mention him again. I think that's what sets this movie a little bit apart for me. Because while they are a very similar setup, I think it's the characters really and the acting performances that just feel better for me than in Silence of the Lambs. The only exception I would say is Anthony Hopkins, and he's basically just exactly the same. It's the same quality from him. Like there's no real like difference between his performance in both of these movies. He's just as good as he was in Silence of the Lambs. Just as good. um, but yeah, everything else, it's like all the other actors, I just feel did a better job in this film than the actors did in the original Silence of the Lambs. And that, again, that's opinion. But that is, I think, what puts this movie slightly over Silence of the Lambs. And I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion. I know this movie got mixed reviews. Some people really liked it, some people didn't. But for me, I really liked it, actually. So thank you, Venom 0027, for choosing this as a donation reward. I really did like this. It was gripping, it was interesting. It did make me feel sad for a lot of characters, and I grew attached to a lot of characters. I also grew attached to the girl. God, I just had her name in my mind too, and I can't remember it now. I have the list up here. Let me check. Reba McLean, yeah, Reba. I grew really attached to her. I thought she was really nice, adorable, just precious, honestly. I thought she was fantastic. That tiger scene when she's petting the tiger, that was absolutely fantastic. The expressionism, the expression acting from her was amazing. Um, and it was such a subtle scene too. I also liked when they're rummaging through Hannibal's cell and everything, and you see the plan go off where the guy like walks by pretending to fix things after the lights go out and Hannibal's just watching. It's like Hannibal has all the cogs turning in his head and he's figuring everything out. And obviously later we do get the confirmation that yeah, he knew what was going on. But it's like I think that's really funny, just the execution of that scene, just seeing his eyes watch the guy as he like goes past. And it's like you just know what is going on in his head, and it's fantastic. And great physical, just subtle acting from Anthony Hopkins on that part too. Of course, because it's Anthony fucking Hopkins. um, but then you had like even stuff like just the way Dollar Hyde emoted. Like there's a lot of times where he's very stiff, but then other times you see Ralph Fiennes like really get super emotional. And like you feel like he's going to break down crying half the time. And it's like you just really appreciate the acting. You appreciate how well of a job he's doing at bringing this character to life. Um, and Harvey Keitel did a great job. Everyone really. Philip Seymour Hoffman was fantastic, as he pretty much always had been. So it's like I really have no qualms on the acting. The direction and scene work was great as well. No qualms on that. The music, fantastic. Danny Elfman did a great job. Yeah, I really don't have a lot of negative to say about this. Pretty much at all. I was invested. I was hooked. I was into it. Um, and those 2 hours pretty much went by fairly quickly for me. I didn't feel like it was dragging. I didn't feel like the pacing could have been a little faster. I felt like it was exactly what it needed to be. And there were some shocking moments for me too that like really caught me off guard. The entire flaming wheelchair moment, it's like, oh, okay. And then the part where he faked his suicide, I legitimately thought he did it because his mental state seemed to be there at that moment. Like he wasn't able to kill her. I thought he was going to kill himself. But then we find out it was actually that other guy's body, the guy who was kind of creeping around Reba, let's be honest. Um, we found out it was actually his body. And it's like, okay. And I think that would be, if I had to say any notable negative about this film. I think that would be the one thing I would maybe nitpick a little. The ending twist that he survived that and then came after Graham's family like one last time and everything. I don't feel was needed. It wasn't bad. It wasn't well. It was well executed. It wasn't handled poorly or anything. It's just I don't think it was needed. Honestly, if they had ended it with him having killed himself and everything, and that's just how it turned out, honestly, I think that would have worked fine. I don't think they needed to have this big final shoot off. It did pay off with the wife learning to shoot. Yes, there was a payoff to what was built up previously in the film. And I appreciate that. But at the same time, it's just, I don't feel like it overall that idea was needed. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't necessary. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I did really enjoy this. Um, and I was worried going into it because, as I said, I was not a fan of Hannibal, the movie Hannibal. Um, and I'm glad that this turned out to be more around the level of Silence of the Lambs. And again, even for me personally, it's just a tiny bit better. I'm very much happy with that. I think that that is just a very good thing. And I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought Hannibal was weaker. Like, even the stars of this film thought so, even Edward Norton and Ray Fiennes. And it's like, okay, at least I'm not alone in that. Even the stars of this movie understand that that kind of just didn't work. Um, but yeah, I did really enjoy this, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. So tell me in the comments below what you thought of Red Dragon, and tell me just what kind of things you think like could be compared and contrasted between this and Silence of the Lambs. Which one do you like better? And do you like Hannibal? Let me know if you like Hannibal, or even the Hannibal series with Mads Mikkelsen. Um, and trying to figure out how to end this and everything because there's one other thing I just thought of saying, but it's dumb. Um, okay, let's just say I wasn't expecting to see the nudity that was in this per se. Like that took me off guard. Like there was a couple things of nudity, like outside of even Ray Fiennes. Like there was some stuff on the videos and all from like when he was like raping the woman, which absolutely horrific still. But it's like I did not expect to see Ray Fiennes' butt in this, and it's like, oh, your butt is immaculate, dude. It's like, okay. But in all seriousness, it's like I I guess that could be a nitpick too. I just don't feel like the nudity stuff was altogether necessary. It didn't hurt anything. It didn't like take anything away from the film, but the fact that it was so minor in the film just felt like it kind of was pointless. It just didn't feel like it needed to be there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to say. I know, kind of a weird note to end on. So Venom, if you or anyone else wishes to donate further in the future, donation rewards are, as always, going through. You can donate any amount and you get a reward. You can have me react to a movie, a series, whatever you want, something on YouTube even. As long as I haven't seen it, I will react to it. Um, and yeah, pretty much anything is fair game. I'm not really that picky, though there are some things that I just might not like, admittedly. Um, but I have a full list on the Discord if you want to check out that. So yeah, you could check that out for some ideas, but you don't have to choose anything from that list. You can choose anything you want. And like I said, any amount. It doesn't have to be a lot, but any amount will get you a donation reward no matter what. And like, let's say you wanted to donate $10, but had two different movies you were thinking of. You could make two separate donations, $5 each, and choose both movies to have me react to. Well, you get one donation or one reward per donation, no matter what. So if you wanted to split that up to get multiple rewards, you can do that. But yeah, and as always, it is completely optional. You never have to do it. It's just to add a little way for you guys to get involved. And since the channel doesn't really have enough viewers and subscribers for a Patreon to work, this is the best way to kind of help out with the channel and everything, and with me as well. Plus, it's a way to get you guys involved, to get to choose things for me to react to. Movies are usually the best bet because, like, with series, I still have, like, kind of the right to drop them if I really don't like them. But with a movie, it's kind of a one-time thing. It's like, oh, get to the movie, go, react to it. Can't really drop it. So, but yeah, it's like, so those are kind of the safest bet. If or a YouTube video or something you want me to react to, those will probably be safer bets too. Just to be completely fair. But if there is a series you want me to react to, like, very much so, feel free to choose it, because there's been a lot of series that have been donation rewards that I've loved. I mean, hell, me going back to the Owl House after I initially dropped it was because of a donation reward. So, yeah, now that's become one of my favorite series. So, hey, donation rewards can be used for series too. It's just kind of up in the air sometimes if I'm going to enjoy them or not. But yeah, either way, it's all, again, completely optional. And there will still be plenty of content on this channel for you to enjoy. So, once again, tell me in the comments below what you thought of Red Dragon. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.